record to computer. Dude, you've been killing TikTok and your fishing videos. Let me just say that. You're doing awesome. I love it.
I'm holding back like a lot too. It's like every time we go out, it's like maybe we'll save one. Yeah,
You got to be careful you don't give away those sweet spots, though.
that's great. Like all the videos I post, there's no way you could tell where they're at.
Yeah.
I got a friend, a good fishing buddy. That's my deal with him. I'm like, yeah, we'll go anywhere. Just when we post videos and whatnot, there's nothing in the background.
Yeah,
And if we get
portrait mode, anything's blurry in the background or it's just water, and it's a close up of like just the fish and your legs, and that's all you can see. So like,
yeah,
there's experience behind those videos.
yeah. If we get in a spot where there's no way of not telling where you're at because of the landscape in the background, we'll shoot from like down.
Yeah.
Blocking everything.
Yeah, I love it. A bunch of shady fly fishermen. But no, I guess that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
You don't spot burn yourself, because there's plenty of people on the internet knows exactly where they're at. We joke around. We'll see somebody on Instagram that we might know, we might not know them really, but they show a picture of a fish and we're like, oh, yep, I know exactly where that's at, and I've never seen that person before. Because there's something in the background. Sometimes it doesn't even take like a building or a bridge or a chimney or something. Sometimes it doesn't even take that. It just takes like a couple rocks in a pool.
Yeah.
And if you catch a really nice fish in a certain pool, well, next thing you know, you have like 3 or 4 guys fishing for that same fish, and now you just kind of ruined your spot a little bit.
Yeah,
you ruined your spot, and you did a disservice to the fish too, because now they're going to get over pressured.
Right. And we've talked, because I am definitely an inexperienced fisherman per se in general, barely fish at all, but especially with fly fishing. And like, you've educated me so much on like putting back breeders and the way that you fly fish. Like, we go to Etar, I had a fly fishing lesson, a mini fly fishing lesson in cold ass water in Etar. And like, you really approach fishing the same way you approach archery. Like, you're pretty meticulous about tying your flies, where you go, how you preserve those areas, how you take care of the fish. Like, it's kind of cool. I didn't realize, before becoming such good friends with you, I didn't realize there was that much to it. I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea. And now I understand like why you treat it that way, because it's a passion. And man, you guys are just killing it though. Those freaking TikTok videos, I'm like, oh my God, he's killing it. Every time I see it, it's a new fish, it's new, and you're getting better at your videos too, I might add.
Yeah, some I'm doing and some I'm getting off of a friend.
No.
My friends, if the ones that look really super sweet, my friend did them. Especially if I'm in the picture, my friend did them.
Right.
If he's in the picture, I did them.
Right.
And he's taught me a lot on how to show off like the lighting and stuff. I've always known how to show off the fish, but it was the next step where you get the right lighting in there as well, and it makes your editing, if you have to edit at all, a lot easier. Because that was part of his side gig up until a couple of years ago, was like taking wedding photography and stuff like that. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's take a quick dive into some of this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, shout out to my buddy Dan Patinka from Wilkes-Barre.
Gotcha. So it's your fly fishing buddy that does the videos and stuff?
Yeah. We like, if he shows a video with him in it and there's nobody holding a camera, it's probably me. It might be somebody else he's cheating on me with, but it's usually me. But we fish all over New York, all over PA. Yeah,
nice,
pretty fun.
Shout out to him. Does he shoot archery or no? Not really. Just
actually, I think he bought Gary Lawrence's bow years ago, and he was going to get into it, and then COVID happened, and then got into fishing instead. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. We met through kind of 2 mutual friends. Like Gary, he bought a bow off of Gary, and he worked with Elton. So
Got you. Nice. Oh, no wonder he doesn't shoot. He worked with Elton. No, I'm just kidding, Elton. All right,
he
let's
picked up a lot of bad, he
what'd you
picked up a
say?
lot of bad habits. He picked up a lot of bad habits in the beginning because Elton
That's
doesn't know.
because it was
He
all
doesn't know
basic
the basics.
Barebow stuff.
He doesn't know the basics of Barebow. He's just fooling everybody.
Oh my gosh, it never gets old. All right, we're really not getting on to talk about archery or fishing or make fun of Elton. We love you, buddy. We're actually getting on here to talk about tabs, and I said we were going to talk about tabs sooner or later. But the questions just like we keep seeing posts and questions and comments and setups, and I know I'm not going to say worked with, but Robbie and I have gone back and forth because he's changed his hook and the way he was working with his tabs, and he's trying new tabs and stuff. So we're gonna go over the basic Yoast tab. I have one here in front of me. John's gonna go over his tab setup and what he does to modify it, and we'll talk about hook a little bit too, I think, because the way you set your hook has an influence on the way you set up your tab, really. And we'll get into some dynamics of materials. You can't really see this well. This is industrial grade rubber roofing right here. You can actually see where I cut my piece out. And modifications that we've made. So if you guys have questions, when in the chat, by all means, just post the questions in the chat. We'll try to get to them. If you are somebody that's on Patreon and you want to join in the video, if you're one of our Patreon subscribers, you can message me. I'll send you the link. You can come right on live and ask the questions. So let me know. So anyways,
Yeah,
John,
we encourage people. We encourage the Patreons to get on and
yeah, I would
participate.
love to get people more involved in that. It's hard though, because we do impromptu, like is like, hey, you want to record? Yeah, okay, and then it just
Yeah.
happens. So, but it is what it is. So go join Patreon, and then when this happens, you guys can just hop right on and come say hi. So anyways, I got the standard Yoast Pro tab here, the blue Pro tab. You have your Cordovon piece on the top, you got your leather underneath, and it comes with the standard clip and your bungee cord stretch material. This is standard. This is literally just cut one time. Actually, I think it might have been my wife's tab. Just don't tell her. And I just never got it back because I was using it for demonstration or something. This is the way your tabs typically come. If you go on yoastarcheryproducts.com or yoastarchery.com, I think it is, you order a pro tab, this is what it's going to look like. You can see you have your standard markings right here. I personally love the etched markings on the Yoast tab the way they are for purposes of being able to see them. They're very clean and they're World Archery compliant. Now, with that being said, John, I guess let's talk about the lines right now, because this is standard. Now you set up, we've probably touched upon some of this stuff in the past and like talking about field, and let's talk about what kind of things you do to mark your lines, because I know yours is a little different and you are very meticulous about how you set up your tabs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Trying to think. Okay, I can mark. So I do mine a little bit probably harder than it needs to be, but I just use the Predator tab. Let's see if I can get on here. I just use the Predator tab. There are no marks on here. So what I do is we got two spots here. You can kind of see I got an orange tape there, and then I got that used to be orange too, but I've scraped it and remarked stuff. So when I'm shooting field, I like to use this little side right here. That's where I put my like I'll lay down, well, first I'll lay down a piece of like some like super glue with a little brush on it, and I'll put just a little bit in there, and then I'll stick this little piece of tape on there. And so now I have a writable surface right here. And that's my test lines for when I'm doing field or 3D, and what I'll do is I just imagine this is a pencil, because I'd rather write in pencil when I clear coat it with whatever I use, whether it be like Sally Hansen hard as nails nail polish clear, clear coat, or another layer of super glue. If I put the pencil in, I can coat that and the pencil's not going to smear. And since I coated it, the pencil is going to be sharp as the moment I put it on there. But what I'll do is like I'll write that, I'll draw that little line in here,
Mhm.
and that's going to be my mark.
Mhm.
And if I
Yeah.
don't like it, and I shoot around and I don't like it, I'll just take the eraser, I erase it, it's gone, and I'll readjust where that mark goes. So now say that's my 40-yard mark, and I shoot that, and then I'll say we'll just go real quick, and I'll put a bunch of lines in here, right? And so I'll do shoot that one. If that's 40, cool. If I come down here and that's 35, that's cool. Say this one's like 31. Oh, it's not quite right. So I need to go on the bottom of the line. So I'm like, okay, I'm bottom of the line. What I'll either do is I'll either erase it and just move it, shift it down a little bit,
Mhm.
or when I'm getting ready to make my permanent mark, I'll come over to this side and I'll be like, okay, I need to draw that line right on the bottom of that mark. So
Yeah.
it's hard to see, but I put
That
it on
makes
the
sense.
bottom
So
of the mark.
the front face is like a practice face for your marks. The
Yeah,
flat portion is
yeah,
like the final mark. So
yep.
you're saying?
And that's what yep. And when I get done with the little marks and I got them all down and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good with these. These are going to be my permanent marks now. I'll shift them over to the big side and then I'll put them in there. I'll line them up because the big side, I can get them lined up. And if they're not quite perfect, I'll erase it and redo it so they're absolutely perfect. And
Mhm.
then I'll clear coat it. And then what I'll do is I'll erase the small side again. And
Mhm.
that will always be there where if something's going wrong, I can always put a line in there and erase the other side. It usually doesn't happen, but I'll just leave that blank for like experimental purposes. Um, so that's how I like to do it. And then when I'm finally done, I'll just take that and clear coat this whole thing. And that will pretty much be my permanent marks for whatever discipline that is for the year. Every once in a while, but you just got to keep in mind, some days you're running hot, some days you're running cold. It depends on, how you wake up in the morning and elevation and humidity and all that. So if I'm running 2 yards too hot, you just got to remember that for every line going down that,
Right.
each one's going to be a little bit hot. But that's how I do mine. And then like right now I'm just shooting 50 meters. So, it's just going to be like one single mark
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. And you
Right.
can, so people, if you don't own the Predator tab, and is that a plastic face on that one, right? The Predator, or is that brass?
No, that one's brass.
That one's brass. You
Yep.
you don't just because his is blank doesn't mean you can't do that with this tab too. You can easily get like a what do we call those? The folder tabs, the sticky, I can't remember.
Yeah, you just get a label.
Anything like a label, yeah, folder label, put it on there, cut it to fit, and you can do that as necessary. Just make the lines the same. Don't get into multiple lines. And there's a
Yeah,
question there, and we can probably address that now. Paul
yeah.
McCullough said marking the tab yourself like that is compliant for what type of tournament shooting?
Oh,
Uh,
World Archery.
yeah,
So let's keep this in mind. You can have two sizes,
yep,
right?
yep,
And so if you want to do it, like run a full line for third, like the 10 digit, and
sure.
then a small line for the medium digit, like the 5. So you have like a big line at 20, a small line at
They
25,
just
big
have
line
to
at
be
30.
uniform.
Yeah. They just have to be two sizes, keep them both the same. And that's like, it's pretty easy. Like if you cut a piece of tape like that, it's pretty easy. You just run like the full length for one
Yeah,
line and then half the length for the other line, and
yeah,
you're good. It's a common thing that people always seem to screw up with online. They assume things. It says it has to be repeatable, size, shape, and color. It
mhm,
does not say distance. The spacing between them does not have to be uniform,
mhm.
but it has to be uniform as in like big line, little line, big line, little line, big line, little line. It can't be big line, little, little, big, big, little, 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 big. You can't be like that. So just keep that in mind. Uniform, keep it repeating, big, little, or big, little, big, little, whatever.
Yeah.
It just has to be uniform. Two sizes only.
2 sizes only. That makes you World Archery compliant, and NFAA, we don't have any
There's
restrictions for.
Yeah, there's usually no issues. If you make it World Archery compliant, you're basically good everywhere, unless you get into some local stuff,
Right.
or you run into a judge that doesn't know better,
And that does
which
happen,
happens.
unfortunately.
Which
It does.
happens.
All right. So before we get into, actually, we can get into like the Cordovan versus leather versus kangaroo versus rubber. We can talk about that, and then we'll finish with how we set our hooks and where the tab's located on our fingers. So we've had some discussions online, and I don't know. It's weird. It seems like all of a sudden everybody talks about the same topic, and multiple groups and multiple people posting about tabs and the way they have them set up and this and that. And I guess, you've been shooting this, we talked about the standard Yost, leather, Cordovan, right? And initially this stuff feels pretty good. But it does wear. I don't love the Cordovan personally. I do like the double kangaroo with the leather. And it wasn't until this year that I was like, I remembered I had some rubber roofing, which is literally came off of the roof of my house, actually, in a storm years ago. And I just kept the whole big piece. This is industrial grade rubber roofing. And I know that Eric and Tracy sell a neoprene version of it online. I'll just use this because I have
Their
like a huge piece.
their neoprene's pretty thin. It's probably similar to like a kangaroo
Gotcha.
thickness.
Yeah, this is pretty thick. I don't know if you guys can see this on a close-up, but that's, oh no, wait, hold on, there we go. That's
There
the
you go.
rubber piece set up in the middle. I have leather here, kangaroo here. This is the first I'm trying this, John. What does this look like compared to yours? How do you have yours set up?
So this tab I've used for 2 years now.
Okay.
All right. I haven't replaced anything on it. Yeah, I'll probably get another year out of it. So that's 3 solid years.
Pretty good.
Yeah. I have another tab that I just started shooting once in a while with, and I don't really see any difference between impact. Sometimes you do with thicknesses and stuff. But that one is pretty stiff. It hasn't been shot that much, and it shoots just fine. Sometimes you stumble into things that just work. So you can see that there's a little bit of rippling in there.
Yep, mine has that as well. Yep.
But this is, like I said, this is a solid 2 years now.
Is that kangaroo or is that Cordovan on the top?
This is Cordovan.
Okay.
Yep. And then there's the rubber roofing. It's got a little dimple in it.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's usually just on the top part,
Yep.
kind of like where the leather part gets a little beat up because you're bumping against it, and that's the top of your finger. And then the middle is pretty. There's no indent on the middle. All right. Same thing with the leather. There's hardly any. There's just a line, a crease, but it's not like worn like the top is and the bottom.
Yeah.
And then I have the suede on the back.
Yep.
So three for me. 2 is this is the standard Yost where I just added the neoprene the rubber roofing, like you did. And I just do the same thing you just did. Same thing you did. What I do is I take one of the pieces out, like I'll take the leather out and I'll trace it on the roofing and then cut it. But I want to make sure people know that if they do that option, you got to remember that just like leather has a grain to it, so does the rubber. So what you do for that is you cut like a corner piece of the rubber, like maybe just like a 1/4 inch or whatever, and then grab it and try to peel it. And if it goes in a long strip, well, that's the way the grain is running. And then you want that grain to be running this way. So when you shoot, everything is going with the grain. And if you shoot it with this way, the grain going this way, when you shoot, that rubber will tend to it will want to split and tear and go straight down, and you'll start getting gouges out of it. But if you run it where the grain is running horizontal, with the arrow, it won't split, it won't crack. It'll maintain just like just like this. If you shoot with the cordovan with the grain going this way, it'll get real sticky it'll get stickier on the string. If you run the grain this way, it'll want to come right off nice and smooth.
So I did not know that.
I know. I
I had
figured.
no idea.
How many people know
I
that
literally
there's a grain to rubber?
took a cut and I kind of lucked out. It's pretty close, but it's not spot on. So I might shoot it, continue shooting, see if it changes. But just to show you the grain, there's the piece that I cut. It doesn't tear this way. Well, it's close. But I did just tear a piece. Wait, hold on. That's small.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here.
just take it. Yeah.
Oh, it didn't. I just tore that off. Let's put it that way. That piece there. It's not tearing. Okay, it's not tearing.
It's if you put just like a little slit in it, then it tears. It's pretty easy. But you'll see there is a there you go.
Little tiny. So
You just need a starter.
there it is.
And see, that was not with the grain. That's well, no, that is the grain going
That would be the grain, right? If I tore it that way.
Yep, that's the grain running that way.
It's close.
If it wasn't going that way, it would just quick curl right off.
I got
and
you.
it'll try to pair with the grain. Yep.
Gotcha. All right. I see what you're saying. It would have, yeah. So when you start into it, it will automatically tear with the grain. So that was pretty close to
It'll want to recorrect itself. Yep.
So I'm pretty close. I kind of got lucky. It's not perfect, but that's really good information to know. And that makes complete sense then, because if you had the grain running this way, right? You said this way, vertical.
Yeah.
That's when it would break.
It's gonna split and break. Yep.
Yep. Perfect. That's really good information. And my fingers are turning black from rubber roofing. And yeah, no, I didn't know that. I kind of just lucked out and happened to hit it right. But I will tell you, and I posted the picture of it. One of the major benefits I think that you can get out of adding a rubber piece to your tab is you can shoot more. Like I'm way out of archery shape. My fingers aren't quite there. Muscles aren't quite there. Like things are starting to come around, but it's definitely like I'm tired pretty quick. And even though I'm going to the gym, it's not the same. And my fingers, especially, and the first thing I noticed it because I didn't shoot much indoor, had all kinds of stuff. Then this stuff happened. So I was like, man, I put that in and it felt a million times better. And it's literally like you can shoot a higher volume of arrows in reality, and it doesn't have as much of a negative impact on your fingers and all of that stuff. But with that being said, and if you guys, let me look through some questions here just real quick before we start talking.
While you're looking through that, the reason years and years ago, so I've been adding this type of material to the Yoast tab basically since the inception of Yoast archery. I got their 2-piece tab and shot it for a couple weeks, and my fingers were hurting in the creases. And I'm like, I got an old Wilson Black Widow tab, and I'm like, that thing doesn't hurt at all. And I look at the tab, and I'm like, okay, there's 3 layers in that, and that's pretty thick.
Yeah.
And when I'm shooting, like, back in the day when I was shooting like 52 pounds for 3D, and I would be shooting every day and quite often, I needed that 3-layer tab. I got a Bubba tab way back when too, and that was only 2 layers, and my fingers would hurt within a week. Like, it's just not thick enough to support that weight. And then when I went back to the Wilson tab, I could shoot, all day if I could physically do it, and my fingers wouldn't hurt. So that's why I started using it. If your fingers start to like not like pain, but like they're getting tender, that's a good time to consider throwing a 3rd layer in your tab if you have that option.
Yeah, I mean, I shot without it for a long time, but I was also shooting more and those calluses were built up. So I don't have them right now. I did not show us a significant amount of left and right difference, but then again, from coming back from shooting from being off for quite a while, I don't really know, because this is just what I shot since I came back. So did it change from 2 kangaroo and 1 suede to one kangaroo rubber and the suede. I don't think it did. It definitely feels like it comes off smoother. And the one thing I do kind of like is that the rubber has like I don't want to say a spine to it, but it doesn't keep the hook like the kangaroo does on the top. And it so automatically as I let go, like this is getting out of the way. But at any rate, it's been very good. And one other mod that I do, which John doesn't. John still shoots the standard cord, stretchy cord, on his Yoast. Yep, he shoots the standard. I guess maybe it's from I shot the 3-finger for probably 2 years and then just finally got tired of like taking it on and off because it's definitely a pain. I love the stability of it, but I don't wear my tab forward. I know Eric does and a few others, like they push the tab forward so that you're setting the string's pretty much right next to the plate. I slide mine all the way back. And that's just from shooting Olympic recurve. My tabs are always all the way back and even had a plate back here. And so that means that my hook is further forward and I have this thick strap, which is like, actually, I'm not going to lie. This strap came off of like a 1985 arm guard, super thick, super industrial. And I threw the regular Yoast clip on it. This thing doesn't move now. And it's so easy to get on and off. So I love it. That's, and it doesn't move around. It's nice and stable. I think there's a couple others that do something similar out there as well. But I don't know what you're smiling over, but it must be something I said. Anyway, with that being said, where do you set your tab and where is the string on your fingers on your hook? Oh man, are you frozen?
You're